Answering this last question here in this document, okay, it's saying that the management of Ngwele Limited is considering their budget for 2017. The data below is in respect of the last 2 years. So you have that table. 2015, 2016, you have the sales and profit. Take note, those profits in brackets are actually losses. Okay, that's why they've even put them in brackets. Supposed to actually be the loss. Yeah. So management is concerned with the poor results despite increasing sales units between the 2 years by 1,000 units, and has asked you to consider whether it will be possible, based on the projected sales figures of 7,000, to make a profit in 2017. Fixed costs, variable costs per unit, and sales price per unit did not increase in 2016 from 15. This data was very key. We'll come back to it. Level, and as there is no inflation, management expects that in 2017 these costs will remain at their 2015 level. So calculate the contribution sales ratio. So let me calculate the formula for the CS ratio, and then from there we'll see how best we can calculate the CS ratio with the given information. So CS ratio, what is it equal to? Contribution per unit, contribution, remember this is a per unit costs, okay, over the sales per unit. Just do that when you compute for these two. This when you substitute them, sales per unit, contribution per unit. What is contribution equal to? Contribution is sales minus variable costs. That's how you get contribution. So now how we get this particular CS ratio from that information? Well, we are looking for sales per unit, right? In the question we've been given total sales, okay, for 2 years, and of course there are those losses there below. So how do we estimate that per unit? Well, they've told us that it has maintained the sales per unit from the previous year, okay, that was in 2015, and it has maintained the same per unit also in 2016. So you would ask yourself, what technique will you use to come and estimate that per unit costs? So we borrow that knowledge from the high-low method, which states that subtract the highest particular costs, or is it value minus the lowest value, right? So I'm trying to write the highest value for sales there. Let me just quickly write it. So I've written down those costs. The highest cost was 5,394. I've just added the last zeros because they like debased them, but in this computation I'm going to take the full zeros here. So you get that figure there, as you can see, and I'm subtracting by the lower value, which was that value in 2015. It was the lower one amongst the two. We're just applying the high-low method technique, where you subtract the high value, low value over higher units, lower units, right? Now at this point you do not yet know the units. They just told you that there's been an increase to by 1,000, okay, by those 2 years. So what do we usually get in the, usually what we look for is the that change or the difference, and they've told us a change by the 2 years. It's been a change of 1,000. So in that scenario, what do? You just have to look at this same particular change, because what you're looking for is just the change, the difference between those 2 years, which they've told you was 1,000. No need to even start saying, okay, higher minus what. Then you get this answer, 899 kwacha per sales units. Remember, what figures are we using? These are sales values. So that's why the answer we'll get will be a sales per unit value. So you found your answer, right? Now time to find the contribution per unit, because you found that sales price per unit. You found it. Now contribution per unit, how do you get it? Well, we know from the given details that we've been given sales. You've also been given what? You've been given your profit. Okay, first of all, how do you get profits? Having been given sales, right? It's always sales minus variable costs, right? Which give you contribution. I hope we're moving together there. I'll just put C there. Contribution. Okay. Less fixed costs, then they're equal to profits. That's the model we follow. It's like a profit statement. Okay, you start with your sales, you less all your variable costs. It's like in this cost volume profit analysis topic, we apply marginal costing principle. Yeah, where we just subtract variable costs only, and then we get contribution minus fixed costs equal to profit, right? So it's like in the question we've been given sales and profit, right? But we're looking for contribution via this particular model here. So we know, okay, sales minus variable cost is contribution. Okay, so you can just put it separate this side. And then once you found, then that contribution is equal to contribution minus FC is equal to profit, right? So you're looking for contribution, which basically can still be like this, because once you take this side, the FC crosses the equal sign that side and joins P, right? It will become like this, plus P. Okay, then your contribution is what is equating both sides in short. Yeah, because you're trying to look out for that C, and first of all you would have to use this particular it leaves you here this model. Then you try to substitute what you know, sales per unit minus variable. Sorry, you're trying to substitute what you know. You know the sales values, okay, in those particular years. Let's start with 2015. 2015 there was a sales value of 4,495. Variable cost was not known, fixed cost not known, profit we knew it in this particular 2015. It should have been 1005 in brackets. Then you like come and group your like terms. Yeah, then you group like terms into living a scenario like this. When that negative crosses the equal sign, that profit, it becomes positive. There was fixed cost here, right? Then variable cost was negative and it crosses the equal sign and leaves you there, right? Therefore, this is the equation it's leaving me with. Okay, so all this was just based on trying to look out for that contribution, and it led us to those equations. I hope we are moving together on that part. Yeah, then we'll end here. What does fixed cost plus variable cost depict if you even understand this statement? This is total cost. That's what that means, if anything. So you have from 1 year, this is your first particular equation you've made. This is from 2015. Let's move together and go on that one. Then 2016, okay, the same model we started with sales minus variable costs. Then we said that, okay, contribution is what is being looked for. So it's like when you're looking for a contribution, it's like you end up adding fixed costs and profits. Okay, it's like it equates both sides like this. And then we start substituting what we know from 2016. 5394. Okay, we don't know variable cost again, we don't know fixed costs, profit 406 in brackets, cross the equal sign. 5394 plus 406 equal to fixed costs. The variable cost crosses the equal sign. We have 58 this side equal to fixed plus VC. As I said, fixed plus VC means what? That's your total costs. That's what it means. Fixed costs plus variable costs are equal to your total costs. So if you landed with two costs, right? Two total costs in short, what do you do with them? Like, we are looking for contribution. You would ask, why are we even looking for them? Well, this is actually going to guide us. Just watch and see. So we had the 5.5, right, from 2015, and we have a 5.8 from 2016, and we want to use these costs to lead us to contribution per unit. So first of all, these are costs we've gotten, right? We've just determined that those are costs, total costs. How can we use costs to come and determine? Well, these costs can actually guide us to variable costs. Okay, these costs can actually guide us to variable costs per unit, which we can come and work with our sales per unit and get what? Contribution. Because contribution is equal to what? Sales per unit. That's contribution we're looking for, sales per unit minus variable per unit, giving you contribution per unit. And that's why we need this variable cost, even though it looked like, why are we solving for this? But it's actually guiding us. So we used the high-low method technique again because it can help us estimate that variable cost. If you remember your cost behavior knowledge, yeah, under cost behaviors topic. Yeah, so you have 5.8, the higher one, the higher cost. The lower cost is 5.5. Okay, what about the units here? Well, the change is still the same. From 2015 and 16, it's 1,000 units. That's what you put. They've just stated it directly in the question. Therefore, I'm landing with this as my variable cost myself, 300 kwacha per unit. Then this is just your VC, your variable cost per unit. And then we said it will help us. Remember, there's your sales. You rewind the video, you got 899. You have now your variable cost per unit, which you can subtract to give you contribution per unit. Okay, I hope we are moving together. What is contribution equal to? Sales minus variable cost. Just remember that. Then CS ratio are back. What is CS ratio? The question that we asked. Contribution per unit, which is 599, over sales per unit, giving you 0.67 as a CS ratio, which you can even express as a percentage if you want, but we just leave it as a decimal. Okay, but B asked for fixed cost. Okay, how do you get fixed cost? Well, they stated something. Let me just take you back so that you can actually get to see why the time I paused when I was reading the question earlier on. Let's read together that statement. Fixed costs, variable costs per unit, and sales, I'm in the second paragraph by the way, and sales per unit did not increase in 2016 from 2015 level. Did not increase from 2015 level. So when we are finding our fixed costs, okay, our focus will be from the 2015 level, because they're saying that things did not change from 2015. Let's not just pick from any year, but they've said that they will not change even as they head to 2017, right? But from the 2015 level. So we'll determine from 2015 level and we'll pick our fixed cost from there, and that's what will be working. Okay, so first of all, I want to determine like how many units first of all, right? Before we would even come and compute. Let me demonstrate this side. So you want to first find that particular fixed cost rate. If you remember, when we found something in 2015, right? I hope we are together there. We found something in 2015 like this. When we were that time, when we were trying to compute the variable costs per unit, okay, using the high-low method, we found this scenario. There was a fixed cost in our formula here, and this is the 2015 detail. When we were trying to calculate, this was from the 2015 details. That's how we got to reach this figure. Okay, then it will be this detail that will give us the fixed cost that they've been using, and will keep on working. So now, okay, what is fixed cost? You want to solve for it. Okay, you put it as your subject, and then total cost is this. Variable, we just know it was 300 per unit, right? Now the thing is, what units are you multiplying it by? This is now where the question is like, let me demonstrate, because you want to know how many units were available in 2015 first of all. So the best way you just do this is this. You know that in 2015 they sold units of this. They had a sales value of 4495, right? I hope we're together there. This is what they had, the sales value, and this is our selling price per unit. So a selling price per unit can actually guide you to how many units were sold, given that they've just given you the overall sales value in kwacha, and now the per unit as well has just been found in, as we found it in this video. Therefore, you find that we will get, I think, should get about 5,000. By the way, let's not debase these figures. Let's just take them to their actual figures. Why? Because one get an accurate answer. So those guys just debased for the sake of maybe easy computation. But when you're trying to get certain calculations right, take it back to its original figure. So when you divide, you get this 5,000 units. That's what was sold in that particular year. And now we know our units, which can substitute there. And trust me, your fixed costs here should land you, by the way, I've been subtracting, let me even rewrite this. So fixed cost is equal to 55 as a total cost minus 300, because it's supposed to be minus because the fixed cost has crossed the equal sign. Therefore, I'm getting a 4,000. Yeah. Although I debased this particular figure. Yeah, it's supposed to have been increased. Okay. Yeah, because the time when I was finding these costs, I was using the best sales figures, if you remember. So just to make sure you include the last zeros also here, for the fact that I was using the best zeros and I wanted to come and get like an accurate figure there. Yeah, so this should be your total fixed costs. The next question, is it part C, asked for break even in sales kwacha. What does it mean when they tell you that? Break even in sales kwacha is fixed costs over CS ratio. So you can now see why it was very key to have found that CS ratio. It's very important in this case. So you just divide the fixed cost you've just found at the CS ratio. I'll go to the calculator screen so that you can actually see the computation there. So we had 4 million, right, as the fixed costs. Then divide that by CS ratio 0.67. So it's giving you that figure, break even in sales kwacha, sorry. So you can just round off to 2 decimal places, that's it. So we can get 5,970,149.25. That's all. That was part C, that's it. What if they tell you break even as part D, Asta? Break even in units, just in units. Let me just rewrite the formula first. So if it was in units, it's sales per unit minus variable per unit. I hope I to get on that one. Fixed costs over sales per unit minus variable per unit, which they will just call contribution per unit. Like we understood, sales minus variable cost is contribution. That's all. And then you will just compute it. Let me finish share the screen of how you would do this. So we want to first find that same break even in units. I said it's fixed costs, same, divided by sales minus variable cost, which is just contribution per unit, which we had found as 599 if you wind in our video. That's what I'm getting. So since these are units, we always want to round off to the nearest whole number. So this would be 6678. That's your answer in units. The next part, which should be E, asking you for margin of safety. Okay, margin of safety is budgeted units. I'll abbreviate that. Budgeted units minus break even points units. That's the formula. So you have your break even units, right? 6678 units, the one we found. So budgeted is what? The question mentioned that they are planning a 7,000 units for 2017. That's the budget. They even mentioned that. So it's going to be 7,000 minus 6678. If you subtract, you should get 322 as your margin of safety in units. These are in units. Here they're asking for units produced in each year. Okay, so we'll have to, I'll show you how we'll do that. And then let's just take note of part G, budgeted profit or loss for 2017. All we just know is that in 2017, they want to make 7,000 units. And so, sorry, they want to sell. So those units will be our focus on part G. Let me just show you how I would first of all find part F, units produced in each year, then budgeted profit or loss. So how do we get those units produced? Well, okay, all are given in our question were sales, right? And these sales, like they are like kwacha values, okay, which can end up giving us the units that were actually sold in that period or produced by just dividing them by the per units sale that is available. So like in 2016, this is what we should have had, 6,000 units actually if you divide here. And if you recall, we found recently the one for 2015 in the video. It was 449 in 2015. So it's basically trying to just use your details to help you calculate what they're asking for. Because they're looking for the units that were produced, but to know what was produced, they want to say, of course, what they've produced. That's usually the aim, to maximize profits. What you've produced, you want to make sure you sell everything, and that's why we're taking that same assumption that when we get those units that were sold, we will know that okay, this is what they actually or roughly produced. So you just use the total sales over the per unit sales, giving you the units that were in those particular years. So this one we just found right now is 2015, and finally 2017 they stated that it's 7,000 units. So you just record 2015 5,000, 2016 6,000, 2017 7,000. That's how you answer part F. G, they asked for a profit or loss with the budgeted what's this? sales that they have that they want in 2017. Will they have a profit or loss? So what is, how do you calculate profit? Well, it's the same formula or the format we started with. Sales minus variable costs equal to contribution minus FC is equal to profit, right? So okay, they want to sell 7,000 units. Okay, if I want, I can start from contribution because this is their plan. They want to sell 7,000 units, right? And contribution is like a stand profit maximization. No? It's like a profit. So you should understand contribution. It's like a stand profits, like the one we call gross profit. Yeah, then multiply it by contribution per unit and less fixed costs, and you can get your profits there. Yeah, so I've just started from contribution instead of the previous side because, well, what they want to sell, right? So they want to sell 7,000. Well, contribution is always based on the sales itself. Okay, that's something you should know. If you are given contribution as a unit, how do you change it to, should I say, a kwacha value? You use to say this, huh? You're trying to get the profit or loss as of this year of 2017. Huh? So I was saying this, we are going to multiply with this 7,000 units by what, first of all? Because you're trying to get profit. You know this model, as I earlier stated on, sales minus variable costs, okay? This is equal to contribution minus fixed costs equal to profit, right? That's the model you're following. Now you're looking for, okay, the profit, of course, at the end of this year. So you've just been told that the projected sales, the budgeted sales for, is it the period of 2017, will be 7,000. You have contribution calculation somewhere, right, in your question. Let me just say we'll get to use this contribution part because you've been given the contribution, right, in the question, like you calculated for it earlier on as 599 per unit. So you can actually even just take this shortcut and go to profit, because if contribution is given as a per unit figure, right, you can actually get to multiply that by a certain number of units, which we get to multiply by sales. Why sales and not maybe other things like produced or whatever units? Well, contribution is in respect to the sales level. That's something you have to know about this in your cost volume profit analysis. Well, when you are given contribution as a per unit, this can be multiplied by the number of sales units, okay, to get the total contribution, and then you can less it, of course, from our fixed cost here, and we'll arrive at our profit. Yeah, so that's how this question had to be approached. You add your per unit contribution and then get to less it from your fixed costs incurred in the period. Therefore, your answer should have given you a profit of how much? 193,000 kwacha as the profit. So it's positive, so it's actually a profit that has been derived from this. So you just get to utilize the information. You know the model there, but contribution was equally given, so you can even just start from there because you're heading to the same ending, which is contribution less fixed cost to give you your profit. And that's basically what they wanted you to calculate on the last part.